So hi everyone. The topic is a very, the name of the topic is pretty large. Supply chain resilience, agility, and the use of AI and stuff like that, right? Definitely not something that can be covered in 15 minutes. So I've decided to just give you a flavor of what are some of the trends that are happening and what are some of the steps that retailers and suppliers should be taking in order to be able to address the trends that are shaping the landscape. Yeah. Um, Before I start, let me just get a sense. There are like very few people out here, but let me just get a sense of what is this audience from. So, how many of you are from the supply chain function? Any hands up? Okay, that's one there. How many of you from technology function? Okay, that's you too. How many from marketing, operations? Okay. And from this operations meaning store ops, I would assume, right? Or marketing, right? That's what it was. Okay, good. So how many from the finance space? Any idea? That's one. Okay. So yeah, I mean we've got a diverse audience, though it is very single digits, but that's fine. So a few things about what are some of the trends that are shaping the current supply chain landscape, and I will talk about things that are going to drive supply chain excellence. Okay. So what are some of the trends that are happening right now? We know that there are geopolitical disruptions that are happening in terms of wars, physical wars, trade wars, the pandemic that just happened. These have disrupted supply chains hugely and have over the last maybe 2-3 years forced a lot of retailers to shift their focus or the way they were distributed with their sourcing capabilities to now be able to shift and reorganize so that they can be more nimble and work with more reliable people. Yeah, that's one of the big trends that's been happening. There's obviously fierce competition that's happening with the D2C. A lot of D2C kind of entrepreneurs or brands have come up. They initially, maybe about 5-7 years back, were not were not creating a material difference in the retail market. However, over the last couple of years, that D2C segment has grown so significantly that customers have started to get more exploratory, more experience, are ready to experiment with these D2C brands. These are now eating into the more organized retail guys. Yeah, so fierce competition for the customer, and even customer shopping patterns, etc., are changing significantly. You would have realized over the last 1 year, shopping has pretty much shifted from the value segment to maybe the more premium and luxury, right? So changing patterns, the same customer being targeted by various brands. Changing demand patterns, that's the thing I just talked about, customers. Technology disruption, so new technology that has come in. Of course, AI, we know that that's a new thing, new kid on the block, but significant presence of AI and things that are happening with AI, and I'll just talk about that a little bit later. With a lot of e-commerce and digital technology coming in, naturally cyber risk becomes a big challenge or a big trend where people are being scammed out of a lot of things. So cyber risk is an important thing, and how do companies organize themselves? And finally, sustainability has been a big thing on the agenda. A lot of retailers and suppliers do pay a focus on sustainability, but I think now the focus is increasing. So we'll move forward. Yeah, so what's happening with these trends that are shaping the landscape? Supply chains have actually shifted from being earlier cost, efficiency, accuracy to now agility, resilience, sustainability, risk management. So essentially, supply chains have now changed their entire focus. They were earlier very execution driven, now execution plus speed plus risk management. Yeah. So what are the themes in order that these supply chains now have pivoted onto these four major themes of agility, cyber security, sustainability, and resilience? What are some of the themes that retailers are taking up to be able to address and to shift their supply chains so that they can tackle this, yeah? Or they can make themselves more agile and more risk managed, etc. So adopt reliable sourcing strategies. We talked about geopolitical disruptions that are happening. So one of the very important thing is about adopting reliable sourcing partners, etc. That's one of the big themes that retailers are doing. Okay. Increasing digitalization, I talked about technology disruptions that are happening and fierce competition for the customer doing a lot of online and digital-based shopping and engagement. As a result, retailers are having to get more digitalized to be able to communicate a lot better with the customer and be able to, of course, do a lot of cut costs, save costs, acquire customers a lot better. All of that comes in, but essentially engage a lot better with the customer in the channel that they want to get engaged in. Better risk management, I talked about cyber security. So better risk management is an important theme that's going to drive retail while we chase the customers, while we organize ourselves on the supply chain front, while we digitalize ourselves. How do we ensure that we are also covering the risk side of it? And finally, sustainability. There's always been this focus. Sustainability just kind of lies there. But today in this talk, I will try to share a few of the things that we should do to actually accelerate sustainability. Yeah? So the four themes, now adopt reliable strategies. A lot of you may have, how many of you have heard of the term nearshoring? Yeah? No one? Okay, that's odd. But what happened, yeah, nearshoring. Okay, so what happened is with the whole COVID pandemic, that was the first example, right, where China, a lot of their ports, a few of their key ports were closed, right, during the pandemic, and hence supplies got stopped. During the Russia-Ukraine war, there was food grain issues. So what a lot of retailers have done is now they want to make sure they shift their sourcing to either dual sourcing, right, have alternatives, or have a nearshoring partner who is reliable, okay, or in the same geography that you are in, or in the same geography that your customer is in, essentially. Because nearshoring gives you a few advantages where it gives you, a speed to market, it helps you to get to the customer, but it also has a few negatives in the sense that when you nearshore, you have a limited range of partners you're working with now. And they may or may not have the range of products that you actually want. Or even if they have the range, they may not have the capacity. And an example of that is the US retailers tried to do that with Mexico, okay, because Mexico is a low labor cost. They tried to do that with Mexico and went nearshore with Mexico. But very soon realized that one, they had a limited range of products, and two, they could not cater to the capacities and volumes. So then the strategy has and that's what I've tried to lay out, is now you got to look at a hybrid strategy. Nearshoring for only certain critical products that you feel that can actually be sourced and can help you speed to market, and then stick to the volume players for the volume products. And if you look at the chart on the right-hand side, you will see that between 2019 and 23, how the sourcing dynamics has shifted towards South Asia, and India, Vietnam, Bangladesh being the big players in this, coming out really big. And a shift away from China is starting to happen, right? So essentially, work out a hybrid strategy where you are nearshoring key products and sticking to your volume so that you can still get the volumes when you need it. The next theme I talked about was increasing digitalization, okay? So for supply chains and for an organization to scale, they have to go more digital, okay? I was doing my own research, and one of the things I found is, of course, in the warehouse, for example, and in your transportation platform, you've got certain level of automation that's already there, okay? But one area where automation is coming in a lot more is in the, and with the help of, with the advent of AI coming in, planning has become, if you look at these charts, okay, it's essentially a lot of take up, a lot of things, technology has been taken up in the planning area. For example, 3D modeling, you've got product lifecycle management, which is the early stage of design, okay, cost management, consumption, planning based on consumption. So you've got a few of these graphs which are showing you very clearly between 2019 and 23 how the uptick has happened from onto the planning systems. There's a lot of digitalization happening on the planning side, okay. So I'll talk a little bit about two planning areas that need to be looked at, okay, which is intelligent planning. So with the help of AI, this is actually the best opportunity for us to improve our planning capabilities, okay. Earlier, we've had these standard products off the shelf, which are very strong on planning, but they are physical products which have limited parameters that they can work with. With AI, you have the ability to pull in various amounts of other data, okay. You have sales, market trends, etc., your own consumption you can look at, and be able to plan a lot better. That's where AI is coming in. A few of the use cases where AI is helping us and where actually retailers are, these areas are areas which are being picked up a lot, which is demand planning very clearly, okay. Earlier, forecasting, etc., was plain and simple parameter-based, static parameters, and every time something changed, somebody would change a parameter so that the next time it would kind of do a better forecast, right? With AI, that cycle has got shortened hugely, and the human intervention has gone away, okay, or reduced, not gone away, but it has reduced significantly, because you still have to control AI in the sense it should not hallucinate and give you crazy answers, right? So that's an important one. Demand prediction is very good if you can use AI and you prompt it well. 3D product design sampling has been around for a long time, but if any of you have engaged with 3D products, these are extremely expensive licenses. So literally there are like 3 designers who one can afford to have a license for these 3D sampling products. With Gen AI coming in, the ability to now design products becomes a lot more easier, okay? May not still be at the level at which a well-matured product is, but it gives the designer an ability to to get started with something really quick, and shortens the life cycle, the timeline significantly, and reduces cost hugely, because you're not now paying for those huge licenses, right? So 3D product design and sampling, very important. Even when when a designer or when a buyer is planning their range for the season or whatever period of time, it's important. They obviously want to choose the right fabric, the right accessories, keeping in mind various parameters. So in some cases, you may want good quality product. In some cases, you may not want great quality. You want average quality product, because that's the kind of audience. In some cases, you want to make sure that it is sustainable fiber, for example, okay, sustainable fabric that is being selected. Those kinds of things. In some cases, you may want a lower cost fabric, okay. This is where AI, with various inputs that it can get, and if you prompt it well enough, AI can make recommendations on what are the types of fabrics for this type of product that you are trying to make. What are the types of buttons you can use, for example, okay. So this is an important opportunity for us right at a design stage to say, okay, what is this product aiming to, which is the audience it's aiming to hit at, and then accordingly use AI for that. And of course, replenishment planning essentially. I've said multi-echelon is because there are large-scale retailers in some cases, okay, who have multiple levels of when the product comes in from the vendor, it goes to a central warehouse, from where it goes to a local warehouse, from where it goes to a, an absolutely a dark store maybe down, and then it comes to the actual or it goes to the customer direct. That replenishment planning for which AI again, today tools are there, number crunching can happen, but if you're looking at capacity planning, AI is a lot kind of enable you over there. So plan your multiple echelons. Did I change the? Oh, okay, it went ahead. That's what I was just wondering. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so I'll go back to, I'll come to the echelon later, okay, on the planning side. And the intelligent costing was the last point. Yeah, so I think intelligent costing, again, with the help of AI, what if scenarios, which earlier were there, but limited to the tools, what the tools could do, and they were time consuming to actually get to that. Again, with AI, a lot of speed. Now, sorry, I'll talk about the echelon planning later. Integrated, that comes as part of the integrated planning and execution. So I said first is integrate intelligent planning, and then planning and execution integrated. Now here, I'm not talking a lot about AI, okay? I'm just saying get your basics in place for anyone who needs to do. You have an execution system, which is doing your day-to-day transactions, and you have a planning system. So on the first side, automate your planning, and then make sure your execution system is feeding back this data into the planning system. And that's where you use the number crunching and say, okay, planning, readjust my plan if I need to. And that's where, again, AI to some degree can help us, but today, I mean, for a small retailer, you don't need that great technology right now. So essentially, for your integrated planning and execution, what's absolutely critical is to make sure your inventory accuracy is right. Okay, you are 100% sure. When you have a good inventory accuracy, then you can make sure that your execution system, whatever it's selling, goes back here, and you're able to plan better and be able to move goods a lot more efficiently. Okay, that's the feedback loop that I'm talking about. Then I talked about the multi-echelon replenishment planning. So again, this is related to multiple levels of replenishment, so that if you've got many stores and you've got multiple layers, like a central warehouse, a middle, a regional warehouse, and then a store, or dark store and maybe a customer, or a regional warehouse to a store, then just make sure that you are able to plan at each level properly. So use the right kind of tools for that. And endpoint productivity is very important. So you can do all of this planning, fantastic stuff, but then your bottleneck will become the man or the lady at the, at the bottom, who's using that handheld to do the picking or to do the packing. So make sure that they are thoroughly enabled. All of these planning big tools will fail if you are not able to enable them. So you might want to start with the person on the ground and kind of go bottom up in this case. Yeah. Risk management was the third theme. So I talked about the sourcing, reliable sourcing as the first theme, digitalization as the second theme, risk management as the third, and sustainability will be the fourth. Okay. On risk management, again, with the help of AI, a lot of capability, a lot of potential for better risk management, but I will keep it limited, not to talk a lot of things that are not doable. The left-hand side activities, for example, are very simple, are standard things that can be enabled to begin with. So real-time monitoring, anomaly detection, get some early warning signals. That is very simple, a good place to start. It's physical, it's discrete, you're tracking your activity and you're getting your warnings. When you go to the right-hand side, you can look at forecasting of risk and various, get all the what-if scenarios and then kind of optimize as you grow larger. So that's really where AI comes in the second right-hand side of this sheet. Okay. And finally, commitment to sustainable practices. So on sustainable practices, uh, everyone talks about sustainability. Okay, I'm going to take about 3 or 4 minutes on this. Is the last final slide. I'm going to take 3 4 minutes on this one. I've seen a lot of retailers say, bring back your clothes, and we will give these clothes somewhere else, right? And that's the most common kind of thing. Some retailers have said, okay, I'm going to optimize the way I deliver to my customer. I'm going to use store-based fulfillment, so I'm using lesser logistics. Okay, for example, I'm doing lesser carbon emissions. It's not as simple as that. Okay, those are very tactical, very transactional moves. I think what retailers need to start thinking about now is in actual terms. Look at the ESG framework, the environment, social governance framework that is there. What are those points that are part of the framework that one needs to do for sustainability, and address all of them or most of them that are relevant to you. So it could be scarcity of water, for example. It could be carbon emissions, could be people, ergonomics. It could be anything. Like there are various parameters, okay, that are there within this framework. So my first point to everyone would be define that framework. Go through the framework and understand what is it and how is it relevant to me. And then based on that, the Sustainable Development Goals, SDG, are the actual metrics that you can then set. Goals, and then you have the metrics. So your framework is your ESG, and then your SDG are your goals. So for anyone who wants to engage in sustainable practices, start with that. And then you get down to things like sustainable product design, reducing waste, all of these kinds of things. Reduce emissions. That's the most obvious thing. Reduce emissions is the most standalone, thing that comes to your mind. But reducing waste is very important. And finally, the most important point, don't do it in isolation. I think the conversation between retailer and customer in a store, for example, or wherever they are engaging with each other, that conversation on sustainability has to start. There are these parameters when I go online onto a marketplace. I see somewhere and there's an attribute which says, okay, this was made out of completely green something. But that's just a message. That's just there, right? There has to be a way to bring this right in the face of the customer and drive the customer to start thinking sustainability. Vice versa, the customer who cares for sustainable products should be driving retailers to say, okay, I want, and for example, a simple thing that I do is when I walk into a lot of footwear retailers, I only wear vegan leather. Okay, I do not wear any true natural leather. When I walk into a retail store and I pick out a nice shoe and I ask the person, is this natural leather? And very proudly they say, this is totally natural leather. And I say, this is exactly what I don't want. Okay, so I think engage the guys with a better conversation on stuff like that. Yeah. Okay, that is my final slide. Any questions? 15 minutes are too short to talk about all of this, so we can always engage at outside sometime. Anyone wants to get in touch, you can get in touch. Oh, I have a question.
Hey,
Okay.
hi, Vikram. So my name is Prateek Srivastava. I'm co-founder of Couturier. Vikram, so we had the opportunity to work with you early on from the starting years of AI/ML adoption. And from
A little louder, sorry.
Yeah, sorry. So we had the opportunity to work with you from the starting years of AI/ML adoptions. So over time, there are different use cases which has come up. And as you rightly said, the focus has been on demand forecasting, planning, merchandising as well. So my question is, while companies like us are focusing on building products which can solve these problems, the retailers have to be prepared in terms of having their data in sync with and kind of having an integration happening at a faster pace or faster adoption, right? So what's your view on, and obviously keeping risk of data privacy and that framework in mind, how the retailers are preparing to kind of fast track this journey?
So different retailers are at a different level of maturity. Okay, the first thing one has to do for demand planning and these kinds of things is have clean and good data, right? So I think for the retailers, uh, the first thing is that I want to do demand planning, and then it comes down to, okay, what do I need to do that? So different, there are a lot of large retailers in India who are very mature on the data cleanliness point of view. There are smaller guys who are not. So one is they have that maturity has to come in, and maybe companies like you should start at that point. Don't start with demand planning. You start with saying, I'll clean your data first. I'll make sure you have the right foundation, and then we get on to the bigger things. Because demand planning without this is not, yeah, that's how.